going to live stream the meeting. I think मुझे questions आएंगे और मैं आपको इधर chat में वो भेजूंगी.
No. Hello, good evening, friends. My name is Mayank Kapoor. I'm a registered migration agent in Nazis Group. I've got Mr. Parth Patel with me today. He's also a registered migration agent. Good evening, Parth.
Good evening.
Right. Okay. So today we are going to talk about the latest changes in migration, and we'll also take some of your questions, and we'll try to answer most of your questions in this event, if possible, and if time allows. But we'll try our best to get the thing sorted for you. If you have any question, just post them onto the chat box there down there, and then we can most likely take it one by one and discuss it. I think do you want to wait, because I think that like there's not many audience is there. We just have, I think, one person.
Yeah, sure.
Right. So, guys, what we do is that we try for some more time, and then we start our event. I mean, just wait for a few more time in here. Okay, friends, let's start. We have got a few more audience in here today. Okay. So, what we do is that we start with some latest update for this financial year. With that, so today we can see that like Western Australia. Let's start with Western Australia. Western Australian invitation route, has been issued on 26th of March 2025. For ACT Canberra, Matrix invitation round happened on 20th of March 2025, and few invitations came. We got invitations for 482 critical skill occupations, and from critical skill occupation list as well. And for about Tasmania migration program, the overseas applicant job offer pathway has now closed for 2024 and 25 financial year. So it's going to reopen next financial year. And for for accounting professional, the program is now ceased for IPA joint media statement. And Western Australian invitation round, the invitation happened on 19th of February 2025, and we had few invitations on that part. For anti-journal skill migration pathway nomination, the suspension of new applications for 2024 and 25 program of the year has been done. So there is no more applications going to conducted for NT this financial year. Exceptions are there, and the exceptions are for the onshore applicants for the whose visa is expiring before July 2025. They can still lodge it, or if there is any ineligibility criteria which is not going to meet, that can be added. For example, if someone is studying 45 or losing points for some reason, they can still eligible to apply for it, and then they will consider those applications as well. Right, and do you want to talk about the employer pathway?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So apart from that, recently the government has announced that the annual induction of skilled visa income thresholds will increase from 1st of July. So currently, if you are applying for employer-sponsored visa, for example, for a visa category, then the salary requirement is at least $73,150. So the government is increasing from that to 4.6% more. So the new requirement will be the salary requirement will go up from $73,150 to $76,515 for 482 visa and also for 186 employer-sponsored visas. So basically, this is the new salary requirement which will apply to all the applicants who are going to apply from 1st of July 2025. Previous applications which has already been lodged or people who are already holding the visa will not be affected by this change. Also, if you're applying under specialist skills category, for them, the current requirement of salary is $135,000. That will be increased to $141,000 and $210. So that will be for new applications lodged from 1st of July. Apart from that, recent changes, if we look at in regards to employer-sponsored visas, Far North Queensland DAMA program has expansion of 226 new occupations. So as per the new DAMA agreement, they have received 51 additional occupations, that is making altogether 226 occupations eligible under this DAMA program. So if you are working in those areas, or if you find an employer who is willing to sponsor based in those areas, you may look at that program as well. Good. DAMA 3 agreement. So they already had DAMA 1, DAMA 2 program agreement in place. On 19th of March, they have received a new agreement, which is DAMA 3 agreement, which includes expansion of new occupation list, increased in places they can nominate, and also the better process for Northern Territory based employers. The new endorsement is expected, was expected actually to start from 31st of March 2025. Apart from this, VETASs have been given 20 more additional occupations to be assessed for employer-sponsored visas. As you may have heard that in December, I think 6th of December, government announced new occupation list for employer-sponsored visas, which is CSOL, Core Skilled Occupation List. So that occupation list now applies to 482 and 186 visa. So in that, they have changed the occupation codes. They've added some occupations as part of that. VETAS is going to assess 20 more occupations. So if you are qualified in any of those occupations or any other occupations which is part of CSOL list, you may access to employer-sponsored visas. As you are also aware that as per the new occupation list for an employer-sponsored visa, that only applies to 482 and 186 visa. So if you are looking at applying for a visa 407, which is a training visa, or a 494 regional employer-sponsored visa, then you still have to refer to the old occupation list. So it happens that your occupation may have been removed from the new occupation list, which is CSOL. For an example, restaurant manager, that occupation is not available under CSOL occupation list. So employer willing to sponsor you as a restaurant manager cannot do so unless you still go for a 407 visa, which is a training visa, or which is a temporary visa. It does not lead to permanent residency, but in case if you are looking at enhancing your skills, you may look at that visa. Or you find an employer based in regional area, you can still go for a 494 regional employer sponsored visa, which leads to permanent visa later on under 191 visa category. So these were a few changes which recently came through. Apart from that, if we look at the quota, what has been allocated to the state governments by the Department of Home Affairs, we noticed that some of the state governments have consumed good amount of quota what they have been given, and for some of the states they have not actually invited so many people, so they still have good amount of quota. So we hope that they will be conducting bigger invitation rounds in the upcoming months, which is like April, May, or June. So if you look at, for example, Victoria have been given 3,000 places under 190 category and 2,000 places under 491 category. Victoria, they don't publish invitations, number of invitations they have given to the applicants, but Department of Home Affairs, they publish how many invites state government has already approved. So as per that, from 1st of July 2024 to February end 2025, Victoria has consumed close to 2,750 places out of 3,000 places allocated to them. But then there were few invitation rounds happened after that, which is in March and also in April. And people who were invited in the February or January month, their applications might not have been processed. So basically, whatever seats were given to the state government, I think most of the seats should have been already consumed by the state government for 190. So I think if still few places are left, Victoria will be conducting very small invitation round. So 190 for Victoria is pretty much, the round is pretty much done. You may consider that way. For 491, they had 2,000 places. Out of that, until February, they consumed 1,535 places, and few more invitation rounds have happened. So I think they will still conduct at least one more invitation round for 491 category, because I think they still have around 100-200 places left. So that might happen. If we look at New South Wales, which is another bigger state, they received also 3,000 places for 190 and 2,000 places for 491. They also don't publish on their website how many seats they have already consumed, but then we can see that it's until February end, New South Wales only used 1,150, approx 1,150 places in the 190 category. So more than 50% of seats are still left to be approved. So I think New South Wales will be conducting bigger invitation rounds in 1 or 2 months of time. So in April, May, I think that will be bigger invitation rounds happening from New South Wales. Also, when we look at 491, they received 2,000 places, and they only used 700 places so far until February. So for even 491, they should be conducting bigger invitation rounds. Apart from that, if we look at Tasmania, if we look at Canberra, they have still good amount of places left, and they don't have so many applications. Yes, Canberra still have good number of applications, but Tasmania, they don't have good number of applications. So I think whoever applied for Tasmania state nomination, there is a good possibility that they should get an invite. Mayank, could you please provide some information on Tasmania and Canberra?
Right, guys. So in Tasmania, we had 585 nomination done out of 2,100, which is 2,100, right? Out of 2,100, 5,185 has been nominated yet. The nomination application has lodged, which is not decided yet, is 91 applications. Okay, and the invitations to apply for nomination, which has not been accepted, is for 85. So if you talk about collaborated, all those which has been invited and not yet decided, out of this, registration of interest has already been done as 310 of 310 invitations. So altogether, it is still less than 2,100 applications. So there are number of good quota is left for Tasmania for this financial round. So we are expecting that like they should have a bigger round for the next one. For 491 visa category, they had 760 places or seats, out of which they nominated, nomination has been done for 585 seats. The nomination application lost but not yet decided is 56 places, and invitations to apply for nomination issued but not yet accepted is 44 applications. And some of the application of registration of interest they have already in their hand, which is 267. So that means that like for 491 they have got enough quota. So they might not invite anyone for 491 category. But yes, for Tasmania, for 190 applications, there's some good chance of getting invitations, or bigger invitation won't happen next financial year. So finger crossed, you should be getting some invitations for 190 from Tasmania. Moving on to ACT. So we had for ACT total approvals are for 190, they got total approval of 547 seats out of 1,000 seats. And for 491, they had 491 approvals out of 800 seats. So that's a good amount of seats that has been utilized. And then we have, if you talk about Western Australia. For Western Australia, we had for 190 day we had 3,000 seats, and for 491 we had 2,000 seats, out of which for 190, 929 seats has been issued. This is till to 28 February 2025 data. And for 491, 857 seats has been used till 28 February 2025. So this data is still February 2025. They might have some invitations done afterwards as well. We do not have the data afterwards, but yes, there's still bit of a quota left over there as well. So we can see on top of it.
Just to add in that, I noticed that the Western Australian state government have invited so many people in the recent invitation round. So basically the seats we are referring to, it's updated until February, but then they still have so many applications in pipeline which needs to be processed. So looking at that again for Western Australia as well, it seems that probably they may not conduct any invitation rounds, or probably they will hold until they finalize more applications. But let's see how it goes. But they have invited already sufficient number of applications to apply or to approve for 190 and 491 state nomination. So that was quick rundown through the state nomination program. For other states, Northern Territory, they have closed the program for the new applications because they were saying that they already received good number of applications, so that they can fill whatever quota they have been given. They can fill those numbers using the applications which has already been submitted. For Queensland, they have been still inviting people. They have used around 60-70% of quota already until February, and probably few more invites recently they have given. So for Queensland, they were not having so many places available. So I think that program will be running as normal only at very low level. And apart from that, South Australia, if we refer, their program is also running well. They had 3,000 places. They used more than 2,004, 190, and they had around, I think, 700-800 places available for South Australia had 800 places available for 491, and then they have already used around 400 and around 70 seats. So for now, South Australia, they have been going well with the program. So they will be still inviting good number of people. We are hoping that, because they have not invited so many people in recent months. So that was quick rundown through the program. We'll just start with the questions because we have been receiving so many questions as such. So firstly, we received a question from D. How can we lodge for it for subsequent entrant on the same day as health examination? We did health check this morning and now we want to lodge visa today. Would that be problem? So basically, if you are applying for 485 visa, health examination is not a requirement when you apply for the visa. So you are certainly eligible to apply for the visa. Even without doing the exam, you have already done the exam, so it's all fine. So no issues with meeting any requirements. So you are eligible to apply for the visa.
Okay, the second question is from Shijwal Podel. The question is the fast track trade courses that colleges are providing now. Do you think that the TRA will accept such 1 year of certificate 3 courses right now? What do you think?
So basically, certificate 3 courses are anyway for 1 year of time, but recently we have seen some colleges started offering a certificate 3, or they registered certificate 3 courses for 2 years of time. But we have not seen TRA raising any concerns. Basically, with TRA, they don't go by the duration, but they usually go by the subjects what you have studied. So as long as you have studied all the units, then it is fine. Certificate 3 usually it's initially the colleges were registering those courses for 1 year and then leading to certificate 4, which was 6 months, and then diploma for another 6 months of time. But we have noticed some colleges started offering 2 years. But anyway, 2 years course you are doing, as long as you are doing all the core subjects, then it should not be a problem. We haven't seen TRA raising any concerns. However, some other assessment bodies, for example, Engineers Hostel, we have seen for some courses relevant to civil construction, they have started raising concerns as such. So it is possible they may start raising concerns in future, but so far we have not seen anything like that, because basically as per TRA, they have been more concerned about the subjects. Even we have noticed earlier when the course was actually for 1 year certificate 3, they were just looking at the subjects whether you have studied that, because at that time there were some colleges offering certificate 4, which was 1.5 years. So there were no certificate 3 given by the college. But then as part of certificate 4, they have done all the units of certificate 3. So they were still using and accepting those qualifications for skill assessment. So basically for TRA, based on those things, I'm telling you that they go by the subjects and not by the duration of the course.
Right. Thank you, Parth, for that. The next question is from Amit. Parth, is a very interesting question. Can a 482 visa be lost for chef if he have only certificate 3 and certificate 4 onshore?
I mean, certainly you can apply for 482 visa. I think you have not properly clarified your question, but I understood what you are trying to state. So basically, to apply for the 482 visa for a chef, usually it is requirement that you have to get a skills assessment. If you have a skills assessment, then it is fine. Basically, you have to get a skill assessment under TSS program, temporary skills. Now it's like skills in demand visa, so SID. So basically, you have to get a skill assessment for SID visa purposes. With that, you can apply for the 482 visa. If you don't have a skills assessment for SID purpose, then you have to prove that you are not required to provide the skills assessment, or you are exempt in any way. So basically, to get exemption, there are certain criteria. For an example, if you have studied in Australia, then you don't have to provide a skills assessment, but it depends on what kind of study is required. It depends on the occupation. For example, if you're saying for a chef, the required qualification is diploma level qualification. So if you don't have a diploma qualification, the government may refuse the visa application. However, the skills assessment body is saying for them, for a skill assessment purpose, they just need certificate 4. So you can apply with certificate 4, but we have seen recently some cases where the government refused the application on the grounds that you did not have a diploma. But if you have certificate 3 and certificate 4, you may apply for occupation cook, because for cook, as per the requirement, qualification, which is certificate 4, is acceptable to get the exemption for the skills assessment. So you either get a skill assessment under SID visa category, which requires usually 3 years of full-time experience. If you have that, you are eligible. If you don't have that, then basically you either gain the qualification diploma, or you apply under occupation of a cook. This many options you have.
Okay. The next question is from Vyom Makhani. After working 1 year as a motel manager, what would be the better if employer is willing to sponsor, go for a standard 482 visa or DAMA visa? So I think he's asking for 482. He should be applying after 1 year of experience, whether he should be applying for 482 visa or DAMA visa.
Yeah, so basically, I think you can go for the normal 482 visa. It does not make much difference as such. Basically, for DAMA, you'll have to do some more work. For DAMA, basically, it is helpful to the employer if employer is saying they cannot pay the minimum salary requirement, which is currently 73,150. They may have some exemptions to that salary, which is 10% concession on that. So if you're asking for that concession, or if you are not meeting the requirement under the standard program because your age is above 45, that does not apply to 482, but if you would like to apply for permanent residency, then after 482, you cannot apply for 186 if your age is above 45, but through DAMA program, you can have that. So if you're basically asking for some concessions, then DAMA program is better. But if you're already meeting the normal criteria of having 1 year experience and a qualification, then you may go with a normal 482 visa. If you're meeting 482 standard requirement, then even if you would like to go with the DAMA program, it should not be a problem. It's your choice. But then basically it's like 2 years after you can apply for permanent visa. So whichever way you decide, it's basically fine.
Okay. Next question is from Kenley. She's asking, will wife skill assessment get point for 189 EOI? So the partner's point for EOI for 189.
Will wife skill assessment get points for 189 EOI? Yes, it's possible. It all depends on what's your wife's occupation. If your wife's occupation is also listed on MLT SSL medium to long term skill strategic list, then your wife can still give you that 5 extra points for skills assessment, considering your wife also has competent English. So to get 5 points from your partner must have competent English. If your wife would like to give you 10 points, then basically your partner must have competent English plus a skills assessment for an occupation which is listed on MLT SSL to claim that extra 10 points for 189 visa. For 189 visa, if you just want 5 points for English, 6 points in each, irrespective of your occupation for your partner, you can still claim that 5 points. But if you'd like to have another 5 points for skill assessment, then occupation must be listed on MLT SSL.
Sure. The next question is from Donna Giuliano. She's asking that, like, do we still expect any Western Australia invitation round for this financial year?
Look, it's possible, but it's not guaranteed. Looking at number of invites they have given so far, basically they have invited around 10,000 people. However, they had 5,000 places available, but usually we know that so many people, they don't qualify later on once they are invited, or their application may get rejected. For an example, for 190 visa, for most of the occupations, they require a full-time job offer contract for an employer based in Western Australia. So people who are invited later on, they are not able to provide offer later, they may refuse. They will not apply for state nomination, or if they are not meeting any criteria, the application may get refused. Less people go under this category. I mean, will fall under that thing. But good number of people will not have a job offer. So because of that, their invitations will be wasted. Or some people apply for multiple EUIs, and that's where their invitations will be wasted as such. So that's where we have noticed that Western Australian state government invites on an average 2 to 3 times the quota they have been given. So 2 times invitations they've already given. Internally, we don't know how many applications are legitimate in terms that they are meeting the criteria. So how many seats they will be using out of the total places allocated to the state, we don't exactly know for now. So I won't be able to comment much on that. Western Australia is a bit slow in processing the applications. We have noticed people who applied around, I think, December, their applications are still in process. So basically, people who applied in December, Jan, Feb, March, and even April invitation round hasn't happened. So until March, so 3-4 months of applications are still in pipeline. So probably if state government, once they get to know that okay, this many places they already consumed, based on that, I think they will be deciding whether the new round is required or not. So honestly, I won't be able to comment on that. But I think good number of places they should be able to use from the invitations they already given so far. So I can't give you honestly much feedback on that, but it is possible. It's not possible. It depends on the seats they have.
She also asking that, like, whether the invitation round is also for the non-priority skill occupations as well, because Western Australia, we have seen that, like, they have inviting only or mostly the priority occupation list. So
yeah, correct. So basically, recently in the recent round, March invitation round, they've invited non-priority occupations, but then basically it's about the total seats. They don't have separate seats for non-priority and separate for the priority occupations. So whatever total places they have, if it is consumed, then there is no way they will be able to invite new people if it is priority or non-priority occupation. So basically, you'll have to wait for the new financial year then.
Okay. The next question is from Carla. She's asking that, like, how long has the company received the authorization for sponsor someone for the first time? So I think that, like, they are asking that, like, if the company is sponsoring someone for the very first time, how long does it take for the approval for this
So
sponsorship?
basically, how long has the company received the authorization? Basically, I think you are asking that how many years they can sponsor people, is it? If it is the case, then generally their sponsorship is approved for 5 years of time, so they can sponsor people for 5 years of time. If you're asking how long the application is taking, then usually it's taking around a week of time to probably a month of time, but usually it's like most of the applications get processed usually in 2-3 weeks of time. Some application get processed in few days, and few applications have taken even longer. Recently, we have seen the government is taking a bit longer to process such applications, but usually it's like around a month, you can consider that way.
Okay. So next question is from Sovan Sharma, sorry. He's asking that any changes for the carpenter in the Victoria for this financial year?
Savan, I think the chances of invite for carpenter will be lesser, I guess, because the seats they had, I think it's pretty much done for this year. So whatever the places they had, I think they have already consumed those places. So chances of happening another invitation round is lesser. Probably for 491, they might still have some places available, so that might work. But otherwise for 190, I think it's very difficult. You may hope for 189 invitation round to happen. In case if it happens, then for carpenters, they should be invited with much lesser points. But again, for 110 also, there is no indication as such that will be conducting invitation round, also knowing elections in coming in future, near future. So I think invitations will be probably on hold for some time. Let's see, it all depends on how the government would like to act for 189 in particular. For state governments, they try to fill their quota because those seats does not get carried forward in the next year. So they try to use whatever they have. But I think the seats are pretty much consumed by Victoria. So I don't think they will be conducting invitation round, or if they are conducting, probably for 491.
Okay. The next question is from Supi. The question is, when will Western Australia invite for IT occupations?
Yeah, I think you have already noticed recently that they have already conducted invitation round in March, and they have invited a good number of people. So as I was saying recently, like in another question just now, basically they have already invited 10,000 people approx, and they have total of 5,000 places. So looking at that, the chances are less that they will be conducting another invitation round. So probably consider that you will have to wait for the next financial year.
Okay, next question is from Johnny Bansal. He's asking, what is the future of accounting occupations in South Australia? Interesting question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So look, for South Australia, they have been inviting people under even accounting occupation. It's just that recently we have seen that basically the invitation flow, the number of invites they've been giving is much lesser. Recently, we still saw few invites coming. That is mainly because they haven't used a good number of quota what they have been given. So it's like around 70-80% seats have been used already. So around 20%, and it's now April already. So basically they will be still inviting people, but we have noticed that they have been inviting people based on certain factors. They don't publicly say what factors, but few of the things we have noticed is if you're working for government agencies, government organizations, or if you have been working in rural areas or regional areas, or if your visa is expiring soon, certain factors they look at. Based on that, they have been inviting, but then there is no standard pattern based on which I can tell you that they will be inviting you for sure. But then otherwise, they have been inviting accountants. It's fine. It's just that you might have to wait longer because so many people apply under accounting occupations. If you have probably more than 1.5 years of experience, then you may hope for an invite. Just meeting the minimum criteria may not work for you.
Okay, next question is from Abdul Ghafoor. Sir, which trade course do you do in a side? Well, I think trade courses, any trade courses is very much in demand, Ghafoor. If you want to do like carpenter, plumber, bricklayer, painter, or any other occupations, they are related to construction, and the construction field or the occupations are very high in demand, not only in Victoria but also in other states, for example, Western Australia. So if you do any course in which you have interest to, I would suggest to go for it and do that course. For better understanding, we need to understand what your interests are and how you can do it. come back to us and book an appointment, and we can discuss more in details, in depth, and then we can suggest you like which one you should go for. The reason why I'm asking is that because other factors needs to be taken care of it. For example, how many points you're having it English, and then other parameters as well. On the basis of that, if you see that like it's something which interest or which helps you to move to other state as well, then we can guide you accordingly and do the things. But on an average, all trade occupations are good. You can consider anyone which interests you the most. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Jitendra is asking, what are the chances of getting a 491 invite under ECT occupation from Victoria?
Look, Victoria is highly the most most the in demand occupations in Victoria is teaching, nursing, and some of the trade courses, as well as this social work. So early childhood teaching is in demand. The 491 invitations, they are in a priority list, and they are inviting in every single round, except from last round. We haven't seen any invitation for ECT, but they are inviting. So the chances for 491 is very high. So keep on working over that side itself, and depending on how many points you're having as well. They don't look for the points particularly. They have their own parameters. So if you're meeting those parameters, those are more important. The parameters are age, your English level, salary, and your partner skills and English level. So if you think you're meeting those things, those criteria, those parameters, you have a high chance to get invitations for that, provided they conduct the round for the next in this financial year.
Yeah, just part of that I would like to add. We have noticed in the recent invitation rounds that people who are living, working in regional Victoria in the relevant field. So if you secure a job as an ECT in regional area, or if you have superior English, then your chances of having an invite will be much higher. So recently, whatever invites they were given, we noticed that either they were having superior English or they were working in the relevant field in regional area. So you should target that if you don't have that. Targeting job in a regional area in the relevant field, I think will be easier if you think superior English is difficult for you in case, but then otherwise job, I think it should be easier because there are so many regional centers. They have been telling that they have a shortage and not many people are interested in moving to regional because they're able to secure jobs in city itself. So not many people are looking and moving to regional. But I think if you relocate to regional, chances of 4-9 will be much higher, even if it is not this financial year, because seats for this financial year have already been consumed to a good extent. But otherwise, consider that next financial year, it should be easy for you. The next question is from Abdul. Any chances for an IT invitations for Victoria? If I study ECT, will the skill assessment criteria be the same except is required for the next 2 years?
Okay. Look, I repeat the question once again. Any chance for IT invitations for Victoria? Look, there is a bit of a chance, but for 491 especially. If I study ECT, will the skill assessment criteria be the same as EQUA for the next 2 years? Look, early childhood teaching is in demand, and the cutoff is going 80-85 for now. The skill assessment criteria is something which is the authority who who govern the things, and who make the changes on top of it as well. ASEQUA has recently made some changes on this skill assessment, that they have removed the English requirements. But from my understanding, I don't think so that like we cannot comment on that part, that but they can change the make the changes in the future or not. But yes, that's what I think. What do you think about this question, that like the criteria?
Yeah, basically, when they announced this criteria, they were saying that it is a temporary change. They haven't mentioned that for how many years it will be like that, but then basically they were saying that to meet the current demand, they have removed that criteria. So probably, and as per the recent meeting we had with one of the department, which is also a decision maker in deciding what occupations should be there on the skill assessment, on the skilled occupation list, and also what should be the criteria after the skill assessment. So basically they were saying that the shortage of early childhood teachers is for another 10 years of time. So demand is there for another 10 years of time. So hopefully, I don't think they will be making any changes like that. However, it all depends with the time, how many people are applying, how many people are qualifying, how many businesses are saying that they have still a shortage of such occupations. But so far, even if you have heard about this election campaigns, they have been promoting, saying that, okay, still they are investing much more on early childhood education and also childcare centers. So I don't think that it's going to happen that they will be saying that now we don't need any teachers anymore. So I don't think you should be worried about that. Also, you might have seen so many students started doing the course, but then still not many colleges are offering such courses. So in a way, you may feel so many students are actually studying this, but we still have seen that employers are still saying that they are still looking for qualified people. As of now, probably in city it might be difficult, but in region area still employers are struggling to find qualified people. So basically on that grounds, I think they will not be changing the criteria for next 2 years as per your question. Also, just now I noticed that Victorian state government have published on their website that they are closing the program for the state nomination. Effective from 29th of April. So basically you are not eligible to apply for registration of interest after 4 p.m. on 29th of April. So basically people who have already applied for ROI, people who are going to apply for ROI by 29th April 4 p.m., their application will be considered for the upcoming invitation round. That generally means that they will be conducting another invitation round in the next month. So I think probably May could be the last round. And they also mentioned that they have received so many applications and then they have attracted a lot of interest for this program. But basically, less number of places are available, and that's why they are closing the program on 29th April. So even if you haven't applied, make sure you apply before 29th April.
Next question is from Hate Patel. I want to pursue Master of Civil Engineering, and if the degree is of 3 years, how long stay will get it student visa?
I want to pursue master degree in civil engineering, and if a degree is for 3 years, how long stay will I get in student visa? Basically, for student visas, if you are applying for a student visa for a course which is more than 10 months, you are eligible to get at least 2 more months of visa. So basically, if you say I have 3 years of course, you can get visa for 3 years, 2 months. Okay, it all depends on your COE end date. So if your COE end date is in between January to October month, then you will be getting 2 more months of visa. So if your end date is, for an example, 30th of June 2027, for example. So then you will be getting 2 more months of visa until 30th of August. If you are finishing your course, if you're as per your COE in November or December month, then you are eligible for visa until 15th of March for the next year. So it depends on when is your COE expiring. Minimum 2 months extra you will get, and if you're finishing your course in November or December, then you will get visa until 15th of March for the next year.
Okay, next question is from Hitesh Patra. Can we expect some change, some same changes? Can we expect some same changes for carpentry for 189 or 190 in the coming financial year? So the answer is, I think, pretty much same. Carpentering is high in demand. There were 7,000 seats allocated for this financial year for carpentry, and still a lot many are left. I think they're going to invite pretty much the same way as they have invited in this financial year, and we should be expecting good in the next financial year as well.
Yeah, basically, again, as I was saying that as per the recent data, I mean, as we had a discussion with one of the department, they were basically saying that there is a high shortage of teachers, there is a high shortage of health professionals, high shortage of construction workers, and also high shortage for retail workers. Retail worker occupations are not readily available on the list, but then as you might have noticed on CSOL list, core skilled occupation list, they have added retail manager on that list, which was not readily available for it to visa holders earlier. But that could be part of that change. But then basically the other 3 categories, which is health, construction, and teaching, it's still in high demand. So looking at that, carpentry occupation or carpenter as an occupation should not have a problem getting an invite.
Okay. Next question is from Resume. I think this is specifically for you, Path. How long will it take to get 191 visa granted now? Once applied, please inform about the grant time, any changes.
Okay. Look, it's not on top of my head, but then I think it is taking around
2 years to grant 191, I guess.
I can
quickly-
probably quickly check. In the meantime, if you can like cover the next question. The next question is from Piyush, who's asking, can we expect same number of seats for carpenter and painter for 189, 190 for the next financial year? It's similar to the other question, but yeah.
Right. Okay. So the quota has not been decided yet. When we have the new financial year announced, what happened is that the government has checked what are their agenda for this financial year. Accordingly, they make changes in the migration, industry, and then they allocate, how many seats they should be allocating for particular section of particular occupations, and then they allocate those number of seats to those states. So having said that, the new financial year is not yet started. The new government is going to come. Obviously, there are elections in May. So depending on who wins the election, what strategy they want to bring it for the migration industry, accordingly they do that. But having said that, this occupation as such is very high in demand currently, and you should be expecting the same kind of quota next financial year as well.
Okay. The next question is from Abdul. Sir, I have studied 1 semester in ACU Masters in Public Health. After studying graduate diploma in early childhood and Masters 1 semester, do I qualify for 5 points for study in Australia? Okay. Do you want to cover that?
Okay, yeah. So I studied 1 semester in ACU Masters Public Health after studying graduate diploma in early childhood and Masters first semester. Do I qualify for 5 points for study in Australia? In order to claim 5 points for your study, your study collaboratively should be of 92 weeks or more. Secondly, it should be of same profession, not different one. So if you studied something different, 6 semester or 1 semester, and then you want to continue, it will not make a combined course. And hence it's not qualified to be 92 weeks, so that is why it's not going to cover. So you cannot claim 5 points for that.
Okay. So basically, it's like you can combine irrelevant courses as long as it's completed, but then the course you are mentioning, the first semester you have done, you have not actually got a credit transfer into the next course, and that's why you cannot use because you haven't finished that. But for an example, if that course Masters in Public Health for 1 year was for 1 year and you finished that 1 year course, and then you did, for an example, another master's degree of teaching, which is again 1 year, even though it's not relevant, but you completed those courses, that's why you can make it 2 years of study. But in your case, because you did not finish your master's in public health, you just did 1 semester, incomplete, you're not getting any credit transfer into your graduate diploma or master's, and that's why you cannot use that 1 semester study. Basically, you have to complete your graduate diploma and a master's degree. So then you can claim 5 additional points for studying in Australia for 2 years. If you have studied those 2 courses in regional area, making it all together 2 years in regional area, then you can claim another 5 points for studying in regional area. So that's about how you can claim the points. The next question is from Mujahid Khan. I have 90 points, civil engineering, 190 New South Wales. What are the chances? So chances are good, but then New South Wales, they don't just look at the points, they look at how much have you scored in English. So you have super English, proficient English, or what. They also look at how many years of experience you have, and they look at your education background. Based on these 4 factors, that is your points, your education, your English, and years of experience in the relevant field. So I don't know how you have claimed those 90 points. I can't comment much on that, but consider that if you have claimed 90, then it must be that you must have super English. For 1 year of experience, if you have that 1 year of experience in Australia, you are claiming 5 points, or at least 3 years experience overseas in the relevant field, chances are high that you should be invited. Basically, we have seen people having claiming at least 5 points for their work experience have a high chance of getting an invite. If you have claimed 10 points for your work experience, then it's like more likely that you will get it. If it is at least 5 points in Super English, then still your chances are very high. Also, looking at the seats used by New South Wales, they still have to conduct bigger invitation rounds. So I think it should be fine for you to get an invite. I'll just quickly go through that 191 processing time. Okay, again, I'll just take another question because it's still searching. So Jen is asking, thank you for your videos. I have a question. What are the chances for HR advisor to receive expression of interest? Like, what is the time frame? Thank you. Jen, your occupation is only eligible for 491. I think you must be aware of that. And because that occupation is available on regional occupation list, only eligible for 491, it is very state specific. So it all depends on the state whether whether they would like to sponsor you and what are the criteria, how many people are qualifying in that state. You haven't mentioned which state you are applying for, whether you are offshore, onshore, which state. So I cannot honestly advise you that much, but then basically it all depends on the state where you have applied. What are their criteria? How many people could possibly qualify in that occupation? It all depends on that. So if you can clarify the state, then I can probably provide you some more information on that. Heth is asking, for post-work visa, I will only be eligible after completion of the previous visa.
Post-work visa.
Post-work visa. So for post-work visa, for ITFA visa, will I be only eligible after completion of the previous visa, which is student visa? No, because if your current visa expires, you are not holding any visa, then you become unlawful citizen then. So basically, if you're not holding any visa, you cannot apply for the work visa. So basically, you have to apply for your 485 visa before your current visa expires, which is your student visa expires. If you have applied for some other visa during that process, if you are on a bridging visa, you can still qualify for the 485 visa for some time. So it all depends on the situation, but then basically you have to apply before your current visa expires.
I think in this one, she is meant to ask you that whether only after the completion of the studies. So if that is a scenario, then after the completion of the studies, yes, you can apply, provided there are a few documentations. The eligibility criteria for 485 is that your study must be completed within last 6 months. Secondly, police, you must have police check. You should have English score, things like that. So yes, for more information, if you need to, you can contact us and we can help you, definitely help you for that part.
Yeah. So basically, you can only qualify after you finish your course. You cannot apply before you complete your course. That's the rule for the FIRFA visa. So once you got results publicly announced, or you got a completion letter, or publicly, like on the website, on the news media, wherever it is, if university published the result, then you are eligible to apply for the visa. So you don't have to wait for your course completion documents. As long as your result has been published publicly, you can consider that as a course completion date, and you can still apply for the visa, and you can provide your completion letter and then the other documents at the later, I mean, during the processing as well.
All right, Umesh is asking very good question. Do you think the cost of the visa will increase after the election?
As part of the recent campaign, Mr. Peter Dutton was saying that they will increase the fee for the student visas at much higher extent. But again, we have to look at which government is going to come in effect. But every new financial year, the government increased the fee for the visas. So that increase is from 3% onwards. For some visas in the recent year, we have seen it was much higher. I mean, they have increased the fees to much higher extent. But usually speaking, earlier the government was increasing the fee of around 3% to 6% range. But recently, for student visa, for example, it was somewhere around $700. They increased to $1,600. So it was much higher.
Already.
They already increased, and now the new government is also saying that they will increase to $2,500 from $600. But then again, it depends on which visa category you are applying. If you can possibly qualify for that visa before 1st of July, you may apply for the visa before 1st of July to save that money. But otherwise, if you can only qualify after 30th of June, then you don't have a choice but to pay the new fees. About the 191 visa, Resun was asking what's the processing time now. So I just checked. I noticed that people who applied around September, they received the outcome. So basically September, so October, November, December, Jan, Feb, March, April. So around 6 to 8 months of time you can probably consider. Few applications got processed very quickly, but then otherwise, on an average, we have noticed that applications have taken more than 6 months of time. So consider approximately 6 months to 8 months of time for most of the applications. I just checked, most of the applications have taken more than 6 months of time. Very few applications got processed quickly. So yeah, that was about 191.
Anisha is asking new graduate nurses. I think she's asking what are the chances for new graduate nurses, isn't it?
Not sure, but then I think she could be referring to two things. There was a recent change announced by APRA, who do the registration of nurses. So they were saying, as part of that program, if you have studied from certain countries and worked in those countries for a certain period of time, you may not have to meet the requirement of doing the exam, NCLEX exam, and also the simulation exam at Adelaide Center. That could be one thing probably you might be asking, or if you're asking about what are the chances of getting an invite for new graduate nurses. So the chances are very good. It all depends on, again, on which state you are living in. For 189, the government is not conducting any invitation recently since November, but they should be conducting invitation round soon. Now we don't know, they are still going to give priority to nurses or what. So can't comment much on that. But for 190 state-sponsored visas, the chances are much higher that you should receive an invite. It all depends on the state though. D is asking how good is the solid plastering for PR purposes? Is it good option for 45 expiring in 2027 plus 1 year extension? Plus 1 year extension. Okay.
I mean, extension, yeah, regional study. So I think that like if you are applying for solid plaster, it comes in a trade course, and then if you have a bit of an experience and good points for that, the chances are very high to get invited. Considering that you have a visa till 2028, so you definitely it's a good option. So keep on doing that part. Yes.
Yeah, basically it's going to take 2 years for you to qualify, 1 year to study, 1 year to work. So now it's April 24. So earliest you can qualify is April 2026. It's more than that because assessment takes some time and things like that. But then earliest you can qualify is April 2026. So then after you will be left with still another probably 1.5 to 2 years of visa. So I think still good chances that you get it. Solid plasterers were getting invite with 65 points in a 189 category, and if not 189 for an example, if it doesn't work out that way, even if you look at the state sponsored visas, some state governments, for an example, Western Australia, New South Wales, they have been inviting people with the minimum points. So you can target those states. If by the time you qualify, that is after 2 years of time, if the state's guideline is different, we have to look at other states. I mean, assess the situation at that time, and then we can guide you which state is better for you.
All right. Okay. Next question is from Jamin Patel. What about the South Australia PR for civil engineering technicians? Having international experience count in the skills assessment 4 years with 65 points. How many chances? What are the chances? That means, yeah.
So South Australia PR for civil engineering technicians having international experience count in skill assessment 4 years with 65 points. So I didn't get your question much, but then if you're asking that, can I claim any points for your experience of 4 years? You can claim the points. It depends on what did you study offshore, overseas.
Yeah, I think Chairman Patel have rephrased his answer. Question: what about
chances for 189, 190, and 49? That's what he's asking. But then basically, you can claim your experience points. If you had a relevant qualification before you gained 4 years of experience, you can claim 5 points for your 3 years of experience. One thing. Secondly, for South Australia state nomination, also you can use that experience to qualify. But basically, if you are looking at graduate category where you have studied in South Australia, or you're looking at working in South Australia category, then your work experience must be in South Australia. So basically, if you're applying from offshore, then your overseas experience can help you to qualify to meet state nomination criteria. But otherwise, you can claim 5 points for your 3 years of experience that you can do. If you don't have a job in the relevant field, I recommend you move to Western Australia or probably Victoria or any other state. Could be New South Wales, Canberra. They sponsor people without a job or sponsor people with irrelevant jobs as well. But the chances of civil technicians will be much higher in Western Australia. They have been inviting people with even minimum points. So I think you should target Western Australia. Again, as we were saying, this year they have invited good number of people than the places they have. So I think they may not conduct new invitation rounds, but you should move now. In case if they are conducting round, good for you. They will hopefully invite you. If not, in the new financial year, whenever they start, I think the chances are much higher because they have been sponsoring construction people since last, I think, 2 years on a priority basis. So I think it should be still easier for you to qualify. Also knowing that the national skill shortage for such occupations is much higher. It's required in all the states. So I think it should be still easier. Jen Jack is mentioning that state would be Western Australia and South Australia. I have applied for all the states though. Sorry for the delay noise. So Western Australia and South Australia. So thank you. Okay, HR advisor. So HR advisor Western Australia, I think it will be a bit tricky because they have been giving priority to some occupations. Recently, they conducted an invitation round where they invited people which were applying under non-priority occupations. But otherwise, they have been prioritizing specific occupations, which is teaching, nursing, health occupations, and then construction occupations and hospitality occupations. So that way, it is a bit tricky. Let me see in the last round, they have invited any human resource advisors. No, they have not. So basically looking at that for Western Australia, I think it could be tricky. For South Australia, yes, it is possible, but they actually ask you to be working there for some time, minimum 9 months. Minimum 6 months if you're a graduate of South Australia, minimum 9 months if you are not graduate of South Australia, but working in regional area of South Australia, outside of Adelaide, outer region area, or if you have been working there for 1 year of time, if you haven't studied there in Adelaide, if you have worked for 1 year, you can qualify. After that, the chances will depend on where you are working, how many years of experience you have overseas, how much have you scored in English, and then when is your visa expiring. So South Australia, they don't have a standard factors they publish, so I can guide you as such, but this is based on my experience that they have been inviting people. For Western Australia, they go by the points, they go by the occupation, and they go by your location of application, where you are living. So Western Australia, we haven't seen them inviting in this financial year, so it is a bit tricky that way, unless in the new financial year, their target is different, their process is different. But for now, you may target South Australia if you have already job in South Australia. But if you are not having job in the relevant field, you may look at moving to probably Canberra or regional Victoria. I think Victoria would still have a better chance. For Canberra, they have good number of people applying for state nomination, so it is a bit tricky. The cutoff is a bit higher. So that's why that could be tricky. We have to look at how many points you can claim as per Canberra metrics, and then I can advise you better that, okay, what are your chances in Canberra?
I think that's all for today. We don't have more questions. Are we leaving? Yeah. So there are, I think.
If we leave the country for, just Jay is asking, hi Parth, if we leave the country for 2 or 3 months while holding 4-9 visa, is that time frame won't be considered in the 3 years to apply for 1-9 visa? Is it true? Okay. Look, basically there is no time frame defined by the government. Basically, the government says as long as you travel overseas for a reasonable amount of time, which does not affect your usual residency in Australia, then it is fine. So they have not mentioned actually how many months you can travel, but usually they were giving examples saying that if you travel for a month of time, it should be considered part of your 3 years of stay. If you're traveling for longer than that, they may not consider that. So you may have to wait for a few more extra months. You may also be asked to prove why you stayed overseas for more than a month of time. So if you have some reasons as such, they may be able to consider that, but it could be tricky. So probably what we can advise you is if you have traveled for more than a month of time, then you probably wait for another 3 months after you complete 3 years of stay. So 3 years, 3 months, and then you apply and also provide explanation why you were overseas for that 3 months of time. So then it shouldn't be a problem. It's just waiting for another 3 months of time. So I strongly recommend that. If processing time is less for 191, then what people do is they just apply after 3 years of time. If suppose processing time for 191 is 3 months, sorry, 1 month of time or 2 months of time, the people still apply for 191 because the processing fee is not much. If they get the visa, fine. If they don't, then once they meet another 2 months of stay criteria, then they will apply, you know. So if you would like to do that way, but for now the processing time is around 6-8 months of time. So I recommend better you wait for another 3 months and then apply. But again, you'll have to consider that when you are qualifying to apply for 191, at that time you'll have to see what is the processing time, and then you may decide accordingly.
So, Parth, we have a last question for this evening from Sakrish Mahajan. He's asking that like 85 points he's having for 190 visa for New South Wales. What are the chances for ECT occupation, early childhood teaching?
Okay, 85 points is actually very good point score. What I can probably quickly do is see how many people have applied in New South Wales under this occupation to probably give you a better understanding. But 85 points, is it including the state's 5 points or excluding? You haven't mentioned.
So for 190 visa, so 85 including.
Okay. So I think you must have the superior English and experience you will not have, hopefully, based on what points you have claimed. So again, for this occupation, normally if someone asks me what are my chances as an early childhood teacher, I tell them good chances, you know. But then again, just to give you some idea that how many people are waiting in the queue, I can give you some statistics, so that might help you to understand what are your chances. Just a second. For New South Wales, what I can see, is that with 85 points, 278 plus 89, so approximately around 300 people are waiting with you. I don't know when did you apply, but then approximately 300 people are in competition with you. If you're saying you have 85 by yourself, then your competition is too less. Around 100 people are ahead of you, consider that way. So the chances are good. However, we have also noticed that New South Wales, they've invited early childhood teachers with even 80-85 points recently, you know. But as I was mentioning earlier, the invitation is not just based on the points. They look at how many years of experience you have, what's your English score, what's your qualification. Based on that, they assess qualification. I think it's not going to play much bigger role, but then your English and your experience will certainly do. People having 1 year of experience are given priority. If you have that, good possibility. If you don't have that, I think you have super English, still your chances are much higher because not many people will have that. So around 200-300 people are in competition with you. It also depends on when you have applied for the state nomination, you know. But consider chances are good looking at the places they still have, you know. Yeah, that was about the state sponsored program, and also thank you for being with us. If you have any questions, you can keep posting there, but then we will not be able to answer it now. So we'll be going through that chat sections, and we'll still try to answer those in the chat box. If you still have any queries, you may reach out to any of our offices located in Australia nearby to your residence. We are based in Aussies Group Hawthorn branch. If you have any queries, you may contact us in our branch as well. Thank you for being with us, and wish you a very happy Easter.
Happy Easter, guys. Take care. Bye-bye. All the very best for your application.